Good day, everybody. My name is Dennis Collier. I'm a registered dietitian, and I have a master's degree in kinesiology, but I'll tell you the subject in which I am really scholarly. That would be the sport of hockey. Amazingly, we are approaching 40 years, over which time I've been a hardcore fan. So what I want to do to introduce this video is tell a little story from this time period about this Hall of Fame player with whom I'm about to have a conversation. So when I was in grade 9 or 10, this is back in the days before the internet or email, what I would do on occasion is get a pen and a piece of paper and an envelope and a stamp, and I would write letters to various NHL teams, and I would ask for paraphernalia of any type from these teams to mail me back. Sometimes they would write you back and give you stuff. Sometimes they would not. One of the times that I got something real cool back was when I wrote the Boston Bruins and listed for them some of my favorite players. So I'm going to show you one of the things that I received in the mail. Look at this. You see that? An autographed Adam Oates hockey card that I've had literally since I was in grade 9 or 10. Now, I don't think it's always necessarily the best philosophy to judge how your life turned out based on what you thought was a good idea when you were a kid. But you know what? There are other occasions like this when you cannot help but reflect back and think if you were so excited, the kid who got this autographed hockey card was so excited to get this in the mail, and all these years later, that same person is even more excited to get the opportunity to talk to the guy for an hour and a half. That's probably a pretty good indication you found something that you're really passionate about. So, without further ado, let's get to the conversation. But first, let's hear the awesome bio of the great Adam Oates.
Adam Oates is the all-time record holder for points in an NHL career by a player who was never drafted. 341 goals and 1,079 assists for 1,420 points in 19 incredible seasons. Known as one of the greatest playmakers of all time, Adam's assist total still ranks 9th all-time to this day. After retiring as a player, Adam coached in the NHL for 6 seasons. In 2012, he was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and in 2017, named one of the 100 greatest hockey players of all time.
Adam Oates, please tell us where you were born and raised.
I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I was raised there.
Adam, why hockey?
Well, when you're in Canada, that's pretty much it. You know, that's our national sport. It's the sport, and it was no different for me growing up.
Okay, Adam, before you joined us here, we just heard the bio of your spectacular NHL career. The one thing, Adam, that we have not heard yet, I deliberately wanted to save this for you to talk about this piece, which is what you're doing today with the Oates Sports Group, because I think this is such a unique and an interesting thing. Just give us a bit of the background, Adam. What is this thing you're doing today, training these hockey players?
You know what? After I retired, I got into coaching, and you know, when you coach, you get fired sooner or later. So I got fired, and during the interim, I was sort of like deciding what I was going to do, and I saw LeBron James, the basketball player, working with a coach in the off season, working on his game, like the way he shoots, the way he rebounds, the way he dribbles, all of it. So I kind of got the idea, and I talked to some of the guys that I coached before, and they liked the idea. So I started a business where in the off season, I work with guys on their game, like every sort of aspect of their game. And it's been about 8 years now, and there's a video component to it. But generally in the summer, I was just this past summer, I was on the road for 90 days. I travel all over North America because the guys usually go home to their hometown in the off season, and I go around, I follow them in these pockets, and I skate with guys, 5, 10, 20 times this summer, and I really enjoy it, and it's at this stage of my life, great to be able to give something back to the guys, but generally we just work on their game. We really do just work on the game.
I'm not going to get you to drop names, Adam, but suffice to say, they are the elite of the elite. Namely, first of all, they're NHL players. So if you think you've got the right guy to listen to here this morning about how to develop the best possible hockey players you can, we've got the right guy here in Adam Oates. More on this Oates Sports Group, Adam, and what you're doing, because I think this is such a unique thing. Was there any pushback that you got in the beginning? I mentioned that you're dealing with the elite of the elite players, but also, Adam, you're dealing with the elite of the elite organizations, right? The NHL, you can't get a more, there's no higher level. So all these teams, Adam, you would think they have, the infrastructure in place to kind of do what you're doing. So my question is, how was it received by the teams when you started this business? You said 8 years ago.
So at first, as you can imagine, it was weird. So the word pushback is a little different. Like, I haven't really had anybody really ever say anything, but obviously innuendo wise, I've heard about it. And I haven't talked to, like, and it's funny because no one's really ever called me and said, show me what you do.
Yeah.
Right. And what I would say to them is, well, first of all, every single guy everywhere goes home and they work on their game.
Yeah.
Everybody, all summer, college players, junior players, girls, everybody works all summer on their game. So my answer is, well, wouldn't you want them to work with someone that sort of knows what he's talking about? Right.
Yeah.
And I also know that, like, when I go to a city, if they want to come watch, come on. But, like, you think about it, just the NHL player, they don't talk to their coaches in the summer. They don't.
No
Usually
way.
what happens when the season's over, they'll have a year-end meeting, and then basically you don't see them until training camp. So these guys are going off on their own, working, and you're really not in control of them there. So it's
Mm.
kind of a weird thing. And it was the same when I played. You went, you worked on your game. So
Yeah.
now I just happen to be a guy that's helping them work on their game. That's really it. I don't interfere, and I wouldn't say that there's really any pushback anymore because it's becoming more and more common. Um, I still am surprised sometimes I haven't had more calls about what I do,
Me
but
too.
that's their business.
Yeah. Adam, you've already hit on a bunch of key points there that I want to expand upon, and they're themes that I keep coming back to when I talk to all these different athletes, especially hockey. You said, Adam, and you mentioned a few times, in the summer. Uh, what I'm getting at is this, and you mentioned back when you played. Was it always a thing, Adam, that people worked on their game during the summer months in the same kind of way that they're doing now? Talk a bit how this has evolved through your time in the NHL up until now.
Well, it's funny because, the season ends, and depending on how far you went, you take a couple weeks off and kind of like reset yourself. You might have some bumps and bruises, all that kind of stuff. And then you start getting in the gym, and there's a period of time where you start going on the ice and you start building your body back. You start working on your hands, you start working on your skating, and you gradually try and time it so that when you come to training camp, you're ready.
Yeah.
And that's no different from when I played to now. And then you add this component. Let's say a guy's played 5 years in the NHL. So prior to that, he played either junior or college. That was probably 3 or 4 years. Prior to that, you've got high school or midget hockey in Canada. So by the time the guy's played 5 years in the NHL, he's had 1,000 practices.
1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had 1,000 practices. and you've had 4 summers in the off season to work on your game. So when you think about that amount of time, how come you're not perfect?
Because the game's too hard.
Or you're working on the wrong stuff?
Wow. Yeah.
So like when I like talking about, I do like talking about it, I do. So for example, practice. We practice our systems. Coaches have systems which are correct, but you have to execute the systems. I work on the execution. That's all I
Yeah.
do. I try and work on the execution. If you're a winger and you got to get the puck out, learn how to get it out. If you don't learn how to get it out, you're going to get punished. Right?
Yeah.
You know, you're a D, you got to walk the blue line. Walk the blue line. Learn how to walk the blue line. Like there's the skills. And I think that's a little bit of what's sort of like missed. Everybody thinks everybody has these skills. Well, no, everybody doesn't.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the same speed. Not everybody has the same strength. Not everybody has the same way they approach the game. Like there's a lot of different types of skills within the game.
And you teach them all. Is that right, Adam? What I was going to,
Yeah.
the next question I was going to have for you was, is there one governing philosophy that you have when you take these guys on the ice? Or is it tailored to each individual? Like you mentioned, a winger versus a sixth defenseman might have different skill sets. Speak on that. Is there a governing principle at work here, or is it all completely individual based on need?
Combo. There is definitely I have a core of drills that are just staples, yes. But
Okay.
there is also a psychological component. Like if you're a sixth defenseman, I know what you're thinking going into a game.
Yep.
Yep. You're not allowed to make a mistake because tomorrow
Yeah.
you might be the seventh defenseman.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know
Yeah.
that. Therefore, I know what your leash is. So for me, when I work with guys, I'm trying to build their leash. Right? Because at the end of the day, I see the coaches. The coaches want success. The general manager wants success. I know what success is. Right? I know what it all is. And you know what? You're a sixth defenseman. You got to be able to move the puck. If you fumble the puck, you're going to be the seventh D.
Yeah.
So we work on controlling the puck. I'm not working on your slap shot. I'm not working on you skating end to end. I'm not working on you turning it over. No, I'm working on what you need to do to become the fifth defenseman.
Yeah.
That's it.
You mentioned, Adam, it might be hard to explain verbally, but you really got me intrigued by mentioning these, like the core kind of drills that you do. And is it possible to describe like one or two of them, like core drills that are fundamental for what you do?
Well, I use obviously analogies. I use driving the car as the best analogy. When when you're going when you're on the highway, a 3-lane highway, and you're going 70 miles an hour and you want to change lanes, don't you need to know where all the traffic is? Don't you
Yeah.
need to know how fast you're going? Does your car accelerate enough? Does your car decelerate enough? Have you checked your blind spots? Right? You're going you're going to get off at this exit. Do you know how to slow the car down correctly? You're getting
Yeah.
on at this exit. Do you know how to accelerate to get into the highway at the right speed?
Yeah.
Right? So like at the end of the day, I think we all know what that means, right? Like, like I'm going to change lanes. Well, did you check your blind spot? Is the car going fast enough?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a fantastic
And the number
analogy,
one
Adam.
thing that's happening in the world these days is everybody's looking at this guy in the car.
Yeah.
And what does it do? Everybody, everywhere. Where everybody's driving like this, going like this. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody. And it crushes me because I know that's breaking your concentration.
Yeah.
That is breaking your concentration.
Yeah.
Therefore, when you go like this, you think you're safe, and that happens, right?
You think you're safe. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy.
Well, you might have missed that pedestrian over there, right? The car in front of you might have changed his mind and done something that you missed in the blink of an eye. You missed it because your
Yep.
concentration's down. So I use that analogy when I lecture with parents because we have a contact game, and safety is a big component of my speech.
You better believe
Safety is
it.
a big component of my speech. So I know what it's like if you bobble the puck. If you bobble the puck, it's dangerous.
Physically dangerous.
Our game can become dangerous if
Yeah.
you bobble the puck because we have
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah. You mentioned parents. I
Yep.
was going to ask you, Adam, do you ever work with kids, or is it all NHL guys?
No. I would say I mostly work with NHLers, but I still work with about 40 uh, juniors, younger. I got about 15 girls because obviously there's a pro league now for girls. There's college scholarships for girls.
Big time.
But yeah, I do. I work at all ages, right? And so obviously when it's a younger student, I talk to the parents,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing. That's the first thing I say is like at the end of the day, I'm going to try and improve your son or daughter, but I'm going to keep them healthy.
Adam, I want to ask you one more question about the kids, and then we're going to get into your career. And we'll use
Okay.
your career as kind of a template to uncover all these other ideas that I think we're going to uncover here in the next hour or so about how to develop the best possible hockey players at each level. So we'll start with the kids. And here's, Adam, the question I've been dying to ask you, okay, about kids. Hear me out, Adam. I want to get your response. I'm going to make a statement, okay?
Okay.
And then I want you to respond. And Adam, please feel free. You don't have to agree. So it's okay
Okay.
if we have disagreements here. But we've kind of hinted about it already. The idea of hockey being such a hard game, and Adam, the whole concept in sports of early youth specialization, okay? It's come up time and time again here, all these different athletes. The topic is early youth specialization in sport. Here's my statement, Adam, okay? And I'd love to hear your 2 cents. Like in the scientific literature, it's fairly unanimous that early youth specialization in sports is not a great thing. There's maybe a couple of sports where people say, okay, we'll give you that one. The one they always give you is gymnastics. Okay, Adam? They say if you're going to be the world's best gymnast, you better start very young doing an awful lot of specific work in the sport of gymnastics. But that's probably the only one. Everything else, Adam, everyone always says, avoid early specialization, avoid early specialization. And it might even be surprising and shocking for people who've heard these other interviews I've done to hear me say this, but I think, Adam, the sport of ice hockey is also an early specialization sport. And I'd like to hear your comments. What I mean by that is, here's what I'm saying, Adam. And you could even you could get data to support this. The first round of the NHL entry draft in the year 2026, if you look at the 32 18-year-olds that get drafted in the first round, my hypothesis, Adam, is that every one of those young men specialized early in the sport of hockey, meaning they were on the ice doing hockey-specific things a lot from a very young age. And I think, again, this last thing I'll say before I turn it over to you, my hypothesis to why that is, Adam, is because this particular sport that you and I love is so damn complicated. It's so hard. There's so much to learn. You can't just show up when you're 16 and wind up being the best player in the world or one of them. Now, I talked way too long. What is your thought, Adam, on that topic?
Well, you didn't talk too long because it is the subject. It is.
It's the subject.
Yeah, it's the subject. Yeah. I'm a very lucky guy because when I was 5 years old, there was really only two choices of hockey sticks, right? And my dad
Ho
saw the
ho.
best player in the world at that time, and he went and got me his. So at age 5, I learned innately. So I played on the street, I played on the ice, and I developed my own skill set. Yep, I did. Um, I am lucky because I had the correct tool, right? Another
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
analogy. Another driving analogy. Formula One. What's the most important thing in Formula One?
I'm
The
not a car guy.
tires.
The car, I guess. Tires, okay.
The tires. You could
Okay.
have the best driver, the best car. You put the wrong tires on today based on the weather, no chance,
Okay.
right? So one of the cheapest items is critical,
Yeah.
right? So we grow up, we learn Got to learn how to skate. Yeah, of course. Right. And so usually you either go to the pond or you go take some lessons. And you learn how to skate a little bit. Yeah. And then we have this tool. We have this tool. So the number one thing that I would tell a parent is please give them the right tool so they can go learn. Right.
I know you're
And
big
then
on
as
that.
we
Yeah.
start growing and growing and growing, because for me, there is a proper tool. There is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of times the tool creates the habits, right?
Okay.
So the specialization comes from the tool. And the hard thing about the game right now is we don't have contact till a certain age. I had contact right away at age 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like a 5-year-old bumps into a 5-year-old, they fall down. It's like the jungle gym, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we have 8 years of no contact. So that's 8 years of habits.
So you're not a fan of that, Adam?
No, I hate it.
You hate it, eh?
Well, what 5-year-old is going to hurt a 5-year-old? They're going 1 mile an hour. Right. But now you got a 14 years old, and some guys are 30 pounds heavier than that guy, and they've never learned to take hit. They never learned contact. They never learned how to skate at the right speed because you're jostling in traffic. And we've got 8 years of habits of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you watch the girls hockey, the number one thing I see with the girls is they're like runaway trains. They run into each other because they've never learned to not do that.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
go full speed. They're good, but they go full speed, so they haven't learned the innate skills. Like when you watch soccer, if you like soccer, there's no scoring. So what do you like? You like the skill.
Ball control.
Yeah, yeah. So for us, I'm very lucky. I had the right tool early, therefore my progress didn't get interrupted. So I had
Interesting.
contact and I had the right tool, so I learned to navigate correctly.
I knew you were big on the stick, Adam. Is it possible for you to summarize what you're looking for?
Yeah, sure. I like a lie 6 toe curve. So anybody that knows hockey knows what that is,
Yeah.
right?
Also, Adam, I got to throw this in there. You were famous in your career for having the shortest blade known to mankind.
That only happened in the second half of my career because I ended up having hand surgery and I cut the blade down a little bit. And believe it or not, it was like a 1/4 inch. But it looked so bad because I lost a little mobility in my right hand.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it. Okay, let's keep progressing here in chronological order, Adam.
Sure.
Still, we're going to talk about kids a little bit. We're going to talk about your story, and again, throw in these pearls of wisdom about how it applies to kids today who are trying to be the best hockey player they can possibly be. Adam, what I want to ask you is, what I'd love to hear about is what you were doing in the year 1972. Okay, so Bobby Orr is wheeling around the NHL. Canada is playing the Soviets in the Summit Series. You're 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb, Adam, and I'm going to think that in the summer of 1972, Adam Oates is not on the ice. Is that right?
In the summer? Correct.
What'd you do in the summers, Adam?
I played lacrosse.
Talk about that sport, please, because I'm a big fan of how the game of lacrosse translates to ice hockey. You could explain it better than me.
Well, you know what? I played box lacrosse, which is indoors, which I still like the field game. But honestly, like I loved hockey, loved lacrosse. It was big in my town. That part of Toronto, box lacrosse was big.
Yeah.
And, when you think
But
about
by the way, Adam, just for 1 second, how come you didn't play for Mimico?
You know what? Because of where you live.
Okay.
So Toronto's designed like you have to live in your part of town. You play for that team.
I think your team doesn't exist anymore. Is that right? Where you played as a kid?
I don't think it does either. No, but Mimico was good. They were good.
Because my son played many years for the Mimico Mountaineers, and that's where I came to love this game for its application to ice hockey. But anyway, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's good. It's funny because that's all part of it, right? Like I ended up playing with some of the Mimico guys. Brendan Shanahan was a Mimico guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I played with Shanny's brothers.
Oh yeah.
So growing up, I played hockey and lacrosse, and they didn't overlap. It was perfect. So for a young man, I got 12 months. The one thing about lacrosse is if you're any good, you really learn how to control the ball.
Yes.
So obviously that really built into my hockey, the control. And once again, contact.
Contact.
So for 12 months, I learned to control the ball and the puck, and I had contact.
Think about that.
So
Yeah. What a difference.
so talk about development. That
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
pure development.
Yeah. Not all on the ice, but 12 months of very, very similar, Adam, ball control slash puck control skills. And as you point out, you brought this up more than once, 12 months of learning to take contact in both those
Yeah.
sports.
Well, and you know what's funny is the best lacrosse player growing up was Wayne Gretzky.
There you
What
go.
a shock, hey? What a
Yeah.
shock,
I know he's big.
right?
He talks about that when the spring. He always mentions when the spring comes, he puts the skates away and he does another sport.
Oh, he was
Um,
fantastic. I played against him in both sports. I didn't play against him in hockey until I got older, but he was, well, it's exactly what we're talking about. The best, right? Like he was the best at what? What was he the best at? Everything.
Certainly
Everything.
thinking the game. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
IQ, yeah. Control, yeah. Every possible direction, yeah. Spontaneous, yeah. Saw contact coming, yeah.
Yeah. The guy got hit hard once, I think, Adam.
Yeah, and I bet you if you asked him, he made a mistake. I know that when I got hit, I made a mistake. It wasn't that
Yeah,
guy, it was me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, let's keep talking about kids. And again, I'm curious as to your trajectory here. 1972, you're 10. Is there any way to guess, Adam, how many hours of ice time you had? Let's say per week. I'm a numbers guy.
Hey, I would say probably 3, 4 times a week. Back then, we played a lot of games. We only probably had one practice.
Yeah,
Um, and I played in Toronto, which is pretty serious hockey, even at age 10. Like it's a bit of a dogfight out there,
for sure.
making these teams and staying on these teams. So you play a lot of games, more games than practice.
But I'm going to also go out on a limb and guess there's some untold number of hours, Adam, of you and your buddies screwing around, playing all kinds of games, street hockey, ice hockey, whatever you're doing that would not be considered structured practice. But I'm going to guess that in 1972, when Adam Oates is 10 years old, he's doing that way more than a 10-year-old is today. Would you say so?
I would say that a 10-year-old today doesn't do it at all. Well,
You're right, man.
first of all, in Toronto, it's been outlawed.
Adam, you're preaching to the choir. Adam, out here, there's a sign that I show in my class. I took a picture of it on my street. No ball playing. No ball or hockey playing on the street. But the funniest thing is, Adam, there was a kid, a teenager, who lives on my street. This friggin' guy would bring his net and put it right under the sign and play anyway. I wanted to ask him.
I'm so lucky because times were different.
Yeah.
So I have an older brother. He would play in one game with the older guys, but on our street, we had 3 games on our street. 3 games on our street. So
Think
we're not
about
talking
that, eh?
about I was the easiest kid in the world for parents. Well, he's playing ball hockey. Like I'm not watching TV. I played ball hockey every single day. Like every single
Oh,
day, all day till bedtime.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
really. And by the way, loved it.
you loved it, not parent driven.
Oh, I still love it. I still love it.
I missed what you said. I don't know the back. You were playing with older people. You said brother. Who were
Yeah,
you
so
playing
like
this
my
game?
brother is 4 years older than me. So
Oh
there was a
yeah.
game of older kids, which of course,
Oh
as a younger brother, you want to get in that game, right?
yeah.
And there was a point in time where they invited me in that game. Why? Well, looking back, because I was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we had 3 games on the street. Like I played. It was talk about fantastic for a kid, right? Like just fantastic. Like
Yeah.
no one's happier. Why? Playing ball hockey from school to dark.
You're having the time of your life. And point number two, if anyone couldn't see how a 10-year-old Adam Oates playing ball hockey with kids that are 4 years older than him is also helping his game, helping his development,
Yeah.
you're not looking very hard if you can't see how that is. Although it's not structured, that counts, man, for sure.
Well, and you think about it, the guys that are 4 years older than me are not going to let me play if I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
It's still guys on the street, 10 guys playing ball hockey on the street, right? So like,
Yeah.
we're not letting this guy's little brother play if he can't play.
Yeah. Different times, man. Different times.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, like you talk about, I'm learning.
You're learning.
I'm learning. Like you're learning. Like at the end of the day, you're growing your skills. You're learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You talk about, and I teach a lot of this stuff. It's hilarious because you're playing ball hockey on the street. So now that you're older, like I'm learning friction.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but I was learning what friction was, because you got to hit this ball on the street. You got to get the momentum of the ball. Well, your hands are learning how to do that.
Yeah.
So carrying the puck for me is easy. Why? I learned it at a really early age.
Yeah.
I teach sometimes with younger kids. I don't know if you've ever seen ringette.
A little bit, Adam, not much.
It's kind of the girls' game growing up. Like there's a ringette place. There's hockey, but there's ringette. I actually use the ring sometimes because when I see a kid that's really struggling with their hands, when they put the stick in the ring, the friction is being taught, because if you lift your stick, the ring's going to go away, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on friction there. I don't tell them that, but that's what I'm working on. You have to learn friction. You watch a bartender send a beer down the bar. What does he know? He knows friction.
Yeah.
Or that glass topples, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid analogies, I know.
Great analogies, because that's what makes this game so unique and so hard. The fact that it's played on a very interestingly physically interesting, how slippery the ice is, and that's these guys that excel at this game have to do so on that surface, balancing themselves on two things that are this big.
Yeah, I know.
While guys, as you have pointed out more than once, while guys are trying to. No game like it, Adam.
Yeah.
There's no game like it.
No.
Let's jump forward in time here.
Okay.
10 years, Adam. Okay? The topic we're going to address now is making it to the next level. And a tremendous part of the Adam Oates story is that you don't get drafted to the NHL. Maybe we should back up a little bit from 82, and we could talk about like the levels you did make it to, Adam. You're not even playing major junior leading up to 82. Is that you're playing junior A?
Yeah.
Talk about your trajectory there when you start playing junior A, and maybe why you didn't make major junior. That segment of your career leading up to the NHL draft, which decided Adam Oates wasn't good enough.
Yeah. In hindsight, it's always been a weird thought. So I played in Toronto, and then sort of the year before my draft year, we moved up north, up to Schaumburg, Ontario. And so then I ended up going from the MTHL to playing in Schaumburg, which is, it's good hockey, but it's kind of like in the country.
Yeah.
So it was a weird year. And it was my draft year, and probably a lot of combinations of little
draft
smaller,
year to major junior, sorry, right?
What's that?
Your draft year into major junior, we're talking now.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I didn't get drafted major. And it's weird because I won the scoring. So like you would think that you've got 15 rounds. Let's take this kid who won the scoring, even though he might be a little slow. But like, okay, I didn't. So then I had to try and play junior A. So I ended up playing for Markham, tier 2. It's funny, and I played with a guy named Steve Thomas, who sort of got slipped through the cracks as well. And Stevie played 18 years in the league, and I played 19. It's weird, right? So I didn't get drafted junior, and I didn't get drafted to the NHL.
I didn't know that part of the story, Adam. So there's a geographical reason maybe why you didn't get taken to major junior. Although, as you pointed out, if you're the leading scorer in the friggin' league, they might say maybe this guy could play somewhere. You'd think.
You know what? Maybe the book was out. He's too slow. I don't know. but you would think a guy that is a point producer, someone would do it like in junior. Like I won the scoring in junior, kind of like, when you look at guys who are point producers have done it their whole life.
Yeah.
It's not a magic wand, and all of a sudden you figure out how to get 100 points. You've been doing it a long time.
Yeah. So those years, I think it was 3 years you played Junior A, right? Markham Waxers.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yep.
So Adam, tell me what's going on in your mind then. And this is relevant, to look, these kids who are trying to get to the next level. We got a man here who has been there. You're playing not at the highest level of your age category. Talk about your mentality at that point in your life. Clearly, Adam, you can't be thinking then, I'm going to be in the NHL one day. Or are you?
I would say, yeah, I still was.
You still were, eh?
Even though I was fighting with my dad because he was saying what you just said. Like, you're not playing in the best league. You're not playing in the best league, right? How do you think you're going to make it? I'm like, well, I'm sitting there arguing with my dad going, well, they made a mistake. I'm winning the scoring by a lot.
You're saying they made a mistake.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. And he wants me to sort of pay more attention to school. And he was a
Yeah.
scholar. So he wants me to pay more attention to school. And I'm being the dumb Canadian kid going, no, Dad, I'm going to make it, right? And so we butted heads a lot. For a good year, we butted heads. We did. And in hindsight, I know he was right. I just got lucky. I did. I got very lucky. And all of a sudden, a guy approached me in my last junior year. Like, I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
And a guy from RPI approached me and said, okay, like, what's your status? I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, let me see your grades. And I'm like, I'm not even going to school right now. He's like, what? I go, yeah, I just quit school. I dropped out. And he's like, what? And so I end up talking to him, and he's like, okay, if you go back to school, get your grades, we'll give you a scholarship to RPI. Talk about a magic.
Why'd you drop out of school?
Kind of a combo, being a punk, fighting with my dad. That 17-year-old that thinks he knows the world that doesn't.
Yeah.
Kind of that combo.
Yeah. But anyway, continue your story, because this is part of the Adam Oates story.
So
Correct.
I ended up listening to this guy.
Yep.
So then I had to go to a semester school. So I had a friend in Mississauga, let me live at his house, and I went to Gordon Graydon High School for a semester, took 4 courses, got my grades, got into RPI.
Yeah. Okay, so folks, he's now, at this point, the NHL draft has come and gone, correct? You're starting at RPI.
Right. Yep.
And so he's undrafted. The NHL has gone through however many rounds they had back then. I don't know, 10 rounds, whatever it is. And we have no interest in Adam Oates. So now you're at RPI, which is for anyone not familiar, is also not really the feeder system into the NHL. But you got to tell us, Adam, what happens in your years at RPI. The people you meet, I think you got some good stories that sent you on a trajectory that might serve you well for your NHL career. Talk about those. Was it three seasons at RPI? Talk about that period. Yeah. Talk about that period.
Well, first of all, the second I got the scholarship, you want to talk about a sense of relief, because I was aging out. I was in trouble. Yeah. I was in real trouble. So now I got 4 years to still try and make it.
Yeah, a pretty good hockey.
My mind going to school was, okay, I'll do the bare minimum of school to get the degree. I got 4 years to try and make it. Because the NHL is still on my mind. That's the only thing on my mind. It was the only thing on my mind forever. So the great news is my coach. He was a fantastic coach that really gelled with me. He was a lot like my father. He's a very analytical guy. He was a very, very analytical guy, structured guy, and I respond to that. You tell me to stand here, I'll stand here. You tell me to go over there, I'll go over there. You explain why, you got me. And we were like robots on the ice, but like we talked about with the skills, my skills are good in structure. So we really hit it off. right? Like we really did. We had a good team, and we instantly became a great team.
What was the coach's name again?
Mike Odessa.
Mike Odessa.
Yeah,
So that's one big influence. I think you got
huge.
another big influence. If this is the correct time period. Talk about
Yep,
skating and
yep. So the end of my freshman year, we ended up losing to Harvard, and our year-end meeting, coach goes, "Hey, listen, you want to make the pros? Yeah. Like you have the skills, you got to work on your skating. Okay, what do I do? That's how much I was into this guy, right? Yeah, sure.
yeah, yeah,
He goes, don't go home. Go to Boston and live at this guy's house. You work for him, and he'll teach you how to skate. So his name is Paul Vincent, and he lived in Boston. He ran hockey schools. So I went, I lived in his house, I worked his schools, and in return, he would work with me on my skating, sort of like after class kind of thing.
wow,
And it wasn't about speed. No, it was always balance. Like
balance.
you can't make someone Usain Bolt. You can't.
Yeah,
They either have that or they're not. But what we did work on a lot was balance, for sure. Really good.
wow. No, you're right, Adam. There's a saying in sports science: sprinters are born, distance runners are created, but sprinters are born. And I guess that translates to hockey too. So Paul Vincent worked on your balance in skating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing, Adam. These guys, along the way, that are
Oh,
just doing their thing at the time. There's no reason in the world, but by the way, why anyone other than Adam Oates would think, "Hey, Adam Oates is going to be in the NHL one day." But these guys, they help you along the way. It just speaks, Adam, which we're going to talk about a few more times before we're done here, because that's what you're doing today and have done in the NHL. The value of coaching, Adam, in
yeah.
developing these players, getting good quality coaching.
Well, that's what it is. Like you said it. It's good quality coaching, and what is it, right? Um, and I think it's a little deeper than people think. You can look at the obvious, but then there's like, how do you teach a guy to check his blind spot? How do you teach that? That's really hard.
Yeah,
That's really hard. And we have habits. Um, you look at every sport. You look at golf. What's the number one skill missing in golf? Putting. Putting. Almost everybody at a tour level, almost everybody can hit it. Almost
yeah,
everybody can hit the ball because they learn correctly. Almost everybody in golf learns to putt from dad. Yeah. Because if you think about golf, they go learn to hit balls in a field,
yeah,
but they go learn to putt on these sacred greens,
yeah, yeah.
right? So you can't damage these greens. They're sacred. So most of the guys learn from dad. Well, dad doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
So they learned wrong. A lot of them learned wrong. Yeah. So now you have years of hitting the ball correctly and years of putting it incorrectly.
Yeah.
So it's the
I
number
love
one
that
skill
analogy.
missing on tour, putting.
Yeah, and it's a great analogy again, Adam, because it speaks to that's the finesse component of the game of golf,
Yeah.
whereas there's great finesse components of the sport of hockey, um, the stuff that you are so good at.
Well, like I
I,
said, I learned in A-League, and then that carried me into practice. So my practice habits became good. Why? Well, because my skills were good, so I could navigate around and do the things in practice. So then I'm growing exponentially because my skill set was good,
yeah,
right? So the only thing that now really would be my dedication, right? That would derail me.
and that wasn't derailing you.
No, no, that was never my problem.
Yeah. In fact, to uncover some of the characteristics that led you to where you are today, I'm reading between the lines, Adam. It's really a belief in yourself, almost to the point of, dare I say,
Stupidity,
irrationality.
stupidity, stupidity.
But
Yeah, yeah.
but you're at RPI and you're still thinking I'm going to make the NHL one day. Let me ask you last question before we jump to your years in the NHL and some great lessons we're going to extract from your years in the NHL as well. Um, but comparing your situation, Adam, to the modern day, let's say, 19-year-old kid or around that age who hasn't caught on, shall we say? okay, like you had not caught on. But the difference is time here, Adam, in terms of
Yeah.
this is the mid 80s when you did this. Would you have the same advice to kids today? I guess what I'm getting at, has the system gotten more sophisticated today to the point where it's more difficult, even more improbable for like an undrafted player to rise to the highest levels? What do you think about that?
I would say it's kind of similar
Still
because
similar, right?
there's more hockey. Like right
That
now, you can go play in Sweden.
excellent point. Yeah, there's 32
You know,
teams for goodness sake.
yep, yep. So
You had
there's more
21.
hockey. I still think there's a little window there for a lot of guys in terms of age. They're allowing junior players to go play college now. They're giving them chances. There's Canadian colleges are good hockey. So I think there's more hockey. So, but to the point, there is still going to be times you're going to age out.
All right, let's jump into the NHL. Adam, the year is 1985. The Dire Straits have just released Money for Nothing. It's a different time, different era, 1985, and you're offered now. You go from college to the pros. The Detroit Red Wings say, "Finally, we like Adam Oates. We want to give this guy, he's a free agent, a contract." Talk about that jump, first of all, Adam, going from RPI to now all of a sudden, I finally have arrived. I'm in the NHL.
It's a pretty hard jump.
I can only imagine.
It's a pretty hard jump.
Enormous jump.
And I would say that back in that time, the game was very violent. So
I was getting there
it was,
too.
yeah, it was a big jump for sure. It was.
Especially Adam compared to U.S. college hockey.
Oh, not even in the same sentence.
Yeah. You
Not
weren't
even the
coming
same
from the WHL, man.
No, big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. You know what? It very hard. Signed with Detroit. Got off to a lousy start. Mostly my fault. Probably because it was a little bit overwhelming. So
Sure.
I didn't play as good as I should have. And I would say a little bit of the violence. Because we're talking major violence back then.
Elaborate, Adam, for those not familiar with mid-'80s hockey.
Mid-'80s hockey, like you got 10 guys on your team that'll fight in a drop of a hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? I wasn't a fighter. And there's a big difference between not being a fighter and being a scared player. I wasn't a scared player. I was
No.
never a scared player. So I could handle contact, but the fighting part was very hard for me. There's some big boys out there.
Oh, man.
There's some big boys out there.
Oh, yeah.
So that was hard. It was a bit of a transition. Got sent to the minors, and you know what? Also hard, but over time, I started to rub off on people that, oh, this is what this kid can do, right? It took a little time for sure, and very hard. My first year, I got sent down. I got called back up. Detroit missed the playoffs. I went back down for the playoffs. We actually won the Calder Cup, and kind of like the next year, I never looked back.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a year of turmoil and transition for sure.
Yeah. I got two more questions for you, Adam. How I'm envisioning this unfold. I got a few interesting questions and lessons or ideas from all your big stops in the NHL. So I got two more here for, let's call it, the Detroit years.
Okay.
You just mentioned in your first year, actually, they sent you down to the AHL, but maybe even more violent than the NHL, Adam. My question was, okay, so you're a rookie, but they sent you down, so you're kind of still on the fringe, shall we say? I want to know, Adam, was there a moment in particular when you realized, hey, I'm now an NHL regular. I can play in this league?
Not until I got traded to St. Louis.
Not until St. Louis.
Yep.
Are you kidding
I
me?
would say that, and it's funny because it is definitely going back to what I do now for a living. I know when a guy's a regular. I do. And I know the anxiety when you don't feel that way. So even though the next couple years in Detroit, I got to play there, I
Yeah.
knew deep down I wasn't a regular.
Really, Adam?
Yeah, and me and my dad used to talk about it a lot, going, like, you're not a regular yet. I know, Dad. Like, I know, I got it. Like, and it's like one of those things where if you have a bad game, you might be out of the lineup tomorrow.
Wow.
So your leash wasn't good enough to survive a bad couple games. And that's
Wow.
and obviously you can imagine that's hard for a young man to play with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're trying to go out there, you're trying to play good, you're trying to survive, and in the back of your mind, you're not allowed to make a mistake. And of course we all live with that our whole careers, but it's so hard.
That would be a big problem for a lot of players, I think. The uncertainty. Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? And trying to swing that and play well?
It's really hard, and it's really hard today because when we have these year-end meetings, and it's my frustration when I played, and it's still my frustration because give the guy an honest feedback.
Yeah.
What do you like? Tell me what you like about me, but then tell me what you need me to improve on. And we don't quite get, not substantial enough, that information.
Yeah.
The big joke is you got to go out, go train, go get bigger, faster, stronger. Okay. Well, what if I'm already big, fast, and strong?
What else do I
What
do?
else do you want? And like the feedback, it doesn't come as critical as it should. I would say most of the guys, like if you show me something that you needed me to do this summer to improve, I would say 99% of the guys would work on that.
But they're not clear.
Not quite clear enough. No. Nope.
Interesting. There's so many
Yeah.
examples of that.
Yeah.
So many examples. Just for the sake of topical stuff here in this city, man. Adam, I said to my buddy the other day, I said if I was Nick Robertson, the moment the Leafs signed Michelli, I would have said, "You clearly don't want me. Get me somewhere else." As one example of a guy who's struggling with the kind of thing you're thinking: Am I up? Am I down? Do you want me? Do you not want me? Anyway, we
And
could
by the
go on and
way,
on.
has some very good skills.
100%.
Yep. And you
Scorers.
know what? I've already sent it out to my guys. So there's a play that happened in exhibition in a New York Ranger Islander game. And when you watch the play, it's a defenseman and he makes a mistake.
Okay.
And it's kind of a mistake that when you watch it, it's like, how did he make that mistake? And he got sent down to the minors after the game.
Wow.
And honestly, kind of broke my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, he's a guy that played at Cornell and he's played a couple years in the minors. When I look at his statistics tell me he's always made that mistake.
Really, eh?
Yeah, stats don't lie. Stats don't lie.
The numbers don't
So
lie.
now, shame on him for not analyzing his own game with a fine-tooth comb. Okay? Shame on his coaches at Cornell and pros because he just had 90 days to work on his game. And I'm sure he did, but maybe the wrong stuff
Yeah.
because he should have made that play. And
Interesting.
like I said, his stats tell me he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No, stats don't lie. He doesn't.
Yeah.
So there's things wrong. So you brought up Robertson. So he's not a client. He's not. Do I think he's good? Yeah, I think everybody's good. I think everybody's good. But then what's the level of good?
Yeah.
Like honest to God, I say this all the time. Like the worst player in college is really good.
Oh man.
The worst player in junior is really good.
I don't
you
think
just
Adam.
got to keep growing.
Yeah. Non-hockey people don't realize that. Like how good.
And that's every
these people
sport.
are.
That's not just ours. That's every sport.
Yeah.
The
I think
worst
you're right.
player in AAA is really good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of hours they've spent, the skills they've learned.
Yeah. So like this player, it broke my heart because it's a play he should make. It is a play he should make.
Yeah. All right, Adam, I got one more question for you about the Detroit years, we'll call them, the mid
Sure.
80s. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to get you to talk about was to compare and contrast, Adam, the state of, let's call it training, okay, in the mid 80s to today. And a lot of my background is like the off ice stuff, weight room, nutrition, that aspect of the game. Speak for a few minutes, Adam, comparing and contrasting when you broke into the league with the Detroit Red Wings in the mid 80s to now.
I would say I was there at the beginning. So when I went to college, the college coach made us start working out. I had not really worked out until then. I just played hockey.
I think you're right in terms of the timeline. That was when it
Yeah,
all
that's when the
started to
first
get put
universals were
together.
built. The first, remember those first universals that had 7 machines in one,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. So then when I went to Detroit, it was a part of it was just becoming a part of hockey. Prior to that, I think guys showed up at camp and got in shape. But I was skating in the summer. I was going to the gym in the summer. I was. And has it gone to a next level? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Um, but I would say that when I started my career, it started and I did it my whole career. Has it gotten better? Has it gotten more scientific? Of course.
Yes.
But it's funny because I still say, okay, all the guys are in pretty good shape, but that guy still didn't make that play opening night. You're
The
bigger,
game's
faster,
hard, Adam.
stronger. You're bigger, faster, stronger. Well, guess what? I skate all summer. Nobody can knock me off the puck.
Yeah.
Fat old man. Nope. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. There's a lot of finesse in this game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting. I've always wondered that, and you'd be a great guy to answer me. And the answer seems to be around the mid 80s is when they started to clue in, and it's
Yeah.
evolved since then. But the mid 80s is
And then we
when
started, then teams like around, I would say 90, started having a strength coach that would travel with the team. My first few years, we still flew commercial.
Can you imagine? I got a plane ticket and Steve Yzerman sitting next to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
And you know what hurts was we play a game, play in Chicago. You stay overnight in Chicago. You get up at 6 in the morning for the 7:30 flight. So you don't sleep as good as you should. Talk about nutrition.
No. Yeah.
Then you land and you go to the rink and skate.
Whew.
Yeah. So guys, obviously the athlete in every single sport has evolved for sure.
For sure. All right, let's fast forward in time here. Still in the 80s, but now it's the year 1989, Adam. You just got traded to St. Louis. I'm fascinated still, by the way. You said you didn't really think you had made it until you go to St. Louis.
Yeah.
But to cut the story short, we don't have the time, Adam. There's not enough time in the world to talk about you and Brett Hull. If you're interested in learning about Adam Oates and Brett Hull, the combination, Google, maybe the greatest duo in NHL history. Maybe. Were you, Adam?
Well, I
Don't
think if
answer
we stayed I think if we stayed together, yes.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? I've said this a million times. He's a very, very smart guy. Brett's a really smart guy. And our chemistry was instant.
He would say the same about you, by the way. You were a really smart guy.
Well, that's nice of him. That's nice of him. We gelled. And our game just fit. And we're at a certain age. I think I'm 26, he's 24. So we're just sort of like coming into our own, and the team was good. Our coach was good. And you know what? He won MVP of the league, rightly so. And it was fantastic. It really, truly was.
Just for the sake of the interest of the story, I'd like to tackle this somewhat chronologically. Do you remember, Adam, the first time you met Brett Hull?
Yeah. First day of camp.
And is it instant chemistry, or does it take a while? When do you and Brett Hull realize, hey, this is going to be unbelievably special here?
One game.
One game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because the first year we didn't play together. But we begged Brian Sutter. We begged him to put us together, and it took a while before he did it. So we saw.
But you guys
knew
knew
right away.
You knew right away.
Oh yeah.
Adam, here's another hard question. I'm sure you've been asked this before. I don't even know how you could articulate an answer. What was it that made you guys work so well together?
Um, okay, so I'm back to the I'm back to the driving analogy.
Okay,
Um, you know, like when you watch hockey, like there's an element of chess to it, right? Like pieces are moving, the other team's got pieces moving, and you sort of know how to run routes, and you sort of know how to like figure out the moves, right?
sure.
So he knew how to figure out the moves, yes. He also knew how to figure out my moves, and vice versa.
Yeah,
So very smart guy, very highly skilled guy. So like he could run the perfect routes too. So our timing navigating around was correct.
yeah. Something to behold. If you're of a certain age, you got to witness that. But like I said, in all the history of the NHL, I don't know if the two guys ever clicked more than Adam Oates and Brett Hull in those early years in St. Louis. I do have a second question about the years in St. Louis, and you brought him up already, Adam. Brian Sutter. But here's what I
Yep.
wanted to get at. We're trying to cover all angles of hockey here. I'm back to coaching, okay? You have a
Yep.
wealth of experience with this. Personally, you can draw on your personal experience coaching in the NHL, and you can draw on some pretty notable coaches who you played with in the NHL. You had Jacques Demers, who in Detroit, who went on to win a Stanley Cup. But in St. Louis, you have Brian Sutter. Here's what I'm going to ask specifically, Adam. I want you to compare and contrast the good and the bad of different coaching styles. Namely, what I'm going to say is let's call it the hard ass coaching style. Okay?
Okay.
And in comparison, so Brian Sutter, Adam, put it this way: if I walk out in that room, in the next room in my house, I have a plaque. Okay, you picture this of the Sutter brother rookie cards, all six of them. I had this
Okay.
made when I was a teenager. These guys were heroes of mine. Okay, and Brian Sutter, like all the Sutters, are known to be somewhat of a hard asses. Maybe Brian
Yep.
wasn't the hardest of them actually, but anyway, what I want to get you to talk about is that style of coaching, which seems to uh, still to this day, if you talk about Brian Sutter, people do so favorably. However, I'm going to contrast, I'm going to drop another name that you had in your career that has not stood the test of time for his coaching style, that being Mike Babcock.
Okay.
So that's the question I'm going to put to you. The style of coaching based on the different personalities you had the opportunity to play under. I leave it with you. What do you say, Adam?
Well, once again, really good question. Um, Brian Sutter was fantastic for me, like my college coach, because like my dad, very stern, rules, intense, but never crossed the line,
Okay.
which I personally think is important,
Yeah.
right? Like there's rules, right? And you know what? Don't break the rules. You'll
Yeah.
be punished, but never to a point where I felt that he didn't love me.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, I am not a guy that responds to threats, right? Or verbal abuse. I'm not a guy. You can yell at me. You can tell me I made a mistake. Yeah. Yeah. But then you tell me, good play. I love you.
Even yell it. Even yelling it.
Oh, I don't mind being yelled at. No, I don't mind being yelled at because it's part of hockey. You can yell at me,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you can say things in front of the team that I made a mistake. Don't embarrass me in front of the boys. That's hard.
Yep.
And not every guy can handle that. But I have no problem with structure and rules and intensity. Brian was a
Yeah.
very intense man. I love it. It's my dad.
Yeah.
I had no problem with it. And like I said, because he didn't cross the line. Mike Babcock coached me in Anaheim. I'm older than him. Okay, so think about that. I'm older than him,
I didn't
and
realize
I
that.
respect. I respected him. I respected Mike. Mike
Yeah.
never crossed the line with me. Right? We butted heads a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
He's got his. He gets a job. He's got his thoughts. He's got his sort of beliefs, and I can't argue with that. So he kind of doesn't want an older guy around because he doesn't want me going like this, rolling my eyes. But I'm not
Yeah.
that guy. I just want you, like if you can impress me, I don't care if you're 10 years old. So Mike's an intelligent guy. Yes, I liked his intelligence and I liked his intensity. Like I said, I've always responded to that because he didn't cross the line.
Yeah.
As a coach, you're allowed to bench me. You're allowed to sit me out. You're the coach,
Yeah.
right? And you're allowed to tell me the rules. Yeah. And I live with rules. Okay. Just don't cross that line. And he didn't. All those guys didn't. Like they didn't cross that line. So I knew I had to play at a certain level or he might get mad at me. No problem. No problem.
No
And you know
problem.
what? If that meant you sit me out, well, I would like some communication as to why you're mad at me. That's all. I've always said it's a form of parenting. Like we
Yeah.
had 4 kids in our household, 4, 2 boys and 2 girls. We had rules, yes, but obviously all 4 don't react to the rules the same way,
Yeah.
right? And obviously my dad might treat one of my sisters a little differently than me, but we still had structure in the household.
Yeah.
So I think that's a form of coaching. We have rules, yes. Some guys are more sensitive than others, fact. Right? How do you deal
Yeah.
with the personalities? Fact.
Yeah.
Right? And you can be intense. That doesn't. I love intense. Well, you show up for work every day. You bring the intensity. Love it. That doesn't bother me at all. I love that. Just don't cross the line.
Yeah. I think that's a good lesson for the world today. The world may be getting softer and softer, Adam. So maybe listen to some of what you just said and apply that to the modern day. I think we'd be better off, actually. And you can go too far down the coddling road also. We're not
Fact.
saying spank people, but there's a happy medium, perhaps, is the
Yeah. So how do you
moral of the
discipline?
story.
How do you discipline someone that makes the same mistake time after time?
In hockey, I guess ice time as a coach. That's the one thing
Yep.
you control, eh?
Yep. Yep. And then obviously what I do is try and help them fix it so they don't make the same mistake over time.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Let's move forward in time here. Great stuff, great stuff. But we got 3 more stops to make here on your NHL journey,
Okay.
and then we're gonna conclude by playing 10 questions with Adam Oates. So hang around for the end. But next stop, we're going to talk about the Boston Bruin years. Okay?
Okay.
Adam, I got 2 questions for you about this time period. One, again, if you allow me, I got to set the stage here for my all-time favorite Adam Oates stat. Okay? Here we go. If someone knew hockey superficially, kind of a casual fan, you say, hey, what do you know about Adam Oates? They'd say, oh, Adam Oates was the guy that set up Brett Hull all the time. That's what you'd say. Then you'd say, when was Adam Oates' best season? And that casual fan would say, clearly, I guess, one of those years in St. Louis when Brett Hull was scoring 86 goals. I guess Adam Oates had his most productive point season. You'd be wrong if you had that answer. Adam Oates' best season was 1992-93 when he scored 142 points. In the long history of planet Earth, there are 10 men walking around who scored more points than that in one NHL season. So your most productive season, Adam, is 1992-93. Now, hang on, I'm not done. Again, a casual fan might then say, okay, I guess that surprises me. That was his most productive season. I guess, though, it still makes sense because then he was passing the puck to Cam Neely. Okay? And I think, Adam, when I was doing this research to a non-casual fan like myself, who knows a little bit more, even I was shocked by this to learn that that's not true either. Because the 92-93 was one of the years that Cam missed because of his numerous injuries. Adam, I don't even know if you know this part of the stat. So who was the Boston Bruin winger who had the most points the year you got 142 points? The answer is Dmitry Kvartalnov. Okay? So the moral of the story, why it's my favorite stat, is because you think, well, Adam Oates was the guy that got set up Brett Hull or he set up Cam Neely. Nope. Adam Oates is doing his own thing in 1992-93, one of the all-time greatest NHL seasons, and the winger on the Bruins, who was the highest-scoring winger, was Dmitry Tarolnov. So anyway, Adam, that's my all-time favorite Adam Oates stat. Talk about that magical year, 92-93.
Really, you know what's funny? It turned out to be a magical year, of course. Cam was hurt, which was sort of devastating to us, as you can imagine, and me. So I changed my position a little bit. I still got to play with Ray Bork, and I played with Joey Juneau, who very underrated player in the game. And Dmitry was my other winger from Russia. He only came over for a short stint because he didn't like America, kind of thing. Like, he didn't like it over here. He went back home to Russia, right? But very good player. Very good player.
Fine player. No Brett Hull. No Brett Hull.
No Brett Hull.
No Cam Neely.
No. So, but we made it work, and it just turned out to be a great year, for sure.
Yeah, that's my favorite Adam Oates stat. So anyway, the moral of the story is, you think this Adam Oates could play. No Brett Hull, no Cam Neely. 10 people walking the earth had more points in a season than that year. Anyway, my last question about the Boston years, Adam, was to kind of put another sport medicine slant on this. I want you to talk about Cam Neely. And Adam, just give us a little bit of insight, the kind of stuff this guy had to do just to get his butt on the ice and play those years in Boston.
So he got hurt before I got there. And it was back when the severity of the injuries, like the medicines improved too, right? So he had this machine that would keep his leg moving in perpetual motion for his knee. And he was doing rehab. He would play, and the poor guy couldn't practice. They were trying to just do rehab in between games. So, really, really difficult. And I can't say that I know specifically what happened that he re-hurt it. But, like you're playing on one leg, basically. He was playing hockey on one leg.
Wow.
And clearly, really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It's not fair when someone gets hurt. It sucks.
Terrible. And still came back through all that and had one of the greatest seasons of all time, actually. With you
on one leg.
With you passing the puck. Amazing. All right. Those are the Boston years. We're flying through your career, Adam. There's so much good stuff we could talk about. But let's go to Washington. And Adam, here's the question I have for you about the Washington years. Again, with a slant towards sport physiology. The interesting thing for me about your years in Washington, if I may use the scientific term, Adam, you're now old. From an athletic point of view.
Yeah.
We're talking like 35 to 40, okay? And these are the ages that you're trying to navigate still at the highest possible level of your sport. Talk about some things that were different for you as a quote-unquote older athlete trying to still play at the absolute highest level possible.
Well, the good news is that's when the training was getting better, right?
Yes.
So my off-season training helped me. You're trying to. I never really worried about trying to get faster because I knew early on that's no such thing. I just wanted to be in good enough shape to play 20 minutes.
Right.
And handle the physicality. The other part is I knew my skills would always allow me to survive. And they did. My skills allowed me to keep playing at a high level.
Was there anything in terms of like therapy? Like, are you sleeping more? Are you doing anything differently during those years?
No, I would say I was always pretty good with diet. Really good at looking at the schedule. Because sometimes you play 3 games in a week, sometimes 4, sometimes 2. I was always very good about rest. I've always been lucky where I'm a good sleeper. I don't have that. And the other thing is about anxiety. Like at that stage, hockey's pretty good, right? So there's not a lot of stress, anxiety-wise, to upset you on a weekly basis.
Okay, one more stop, Adam. And here's, if I could do a spoiler, I'm going to set the stage for this story. The theme I'm going to get you to talk about here, Adam, in the final stop we're going to talk about, the year 2003 with the Anaheim Ducks. And the theme of this might be, Adam, whatever insights you have, I think would be very interesting to hear. The theme being, sometimes you don't win in this sport. Sometimes no matter how hard you try, no matter how cool it might seem, fate doesn't have it that you're going to win the ultimate prize. So, folks, I'll tell the story. In 2003, Adam is now, you're 40. 41, Adam?
40.
You're 40. The year 2003, he's playing for the Anaheim Ducks, a team not supposed to do anything in the playoffs. Quick, funny story. Adam, this is a true story, personal story. That was the last year I ever made predictions for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you know why? It was because of your team.
You picked Detroit?
So you guys played Detroit in the first round. I said Detroit's winning in 4. And you friggin' guys won 15 games, one less than the. But, folks, here's the story. So here's a guy who's at the end of his career, 40 years old, never won the Stanley Cup. And it would be such a miraculous story, such a great feel-good story to close out a career at 40 by finally taking home the cup. Let me throw in one more part of the story. You already mentioned Stumpy Thomas. Somehow, Adam, I don't know how this worked out, but you two guys who were not wanted playing Major Junior reconnect on the Ducks in 2003. And he's old too now by this point, but you're both still producing. Adam Oates leads the Anaheim Ducks in scoring in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they get to Game 7. One game, winner take all. Adam, I turn it over to you. Complete the story for us, Adam.
Well, first of all, the first game against Detroit.
Okay.
They're clearly favored. We finished 8th. They finished 1st.
Yeah, they were a
juggernaut. I'm 40 years old playing against a team that is very good, but they play a style I don't like because they control the puck. They go back. They were very good at it. Well, I'm a little slow now. So I'm sitting there going, oh man, please don't have a bad playoff. I just want to have a decent playoff.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to laugh, but like game 1, I don't start. I'm the second line out. We change on the fly. Puck's going down their end. I skate down their end. I score. 4 seconds into first shift, first game for me. So you want to talk about, right? Like I thought for sure I might get a couple assists, but to get rid of the goose egg on a goal in the playoffs, that was it for me. Wow. So, I mean, our goalie, Jaguar, played absolutely fantastic. And we upset Detroit. Then we upset Dallas. Then our team's playing pretty good. We sweep Minnesota. And then we go against New Jersey. And I would say one of the things that might have hurt us, because they were a great team, we had to try and steal a game. And usually you steal game 1. Right? You kind of go and steal game 1, right? And the schedule, they went 7 games against Ottawa. So we thought we were going to be able to play in 2 days, and the schedule didn't work out. They got 4 days.
Oh yeah.
So there was our chance to steal game 1. And honestly, all 4 games in Jersey, we weren't in the game. Even game 7, they owned us. They did, which is a shame. But it's game 7 of the finals. It's a little bit hollow feeling, but it's also, if you're honest with yourself, game 7 of the finals doesn't get any better. Like, it's your dream come true, right? The only thing missing was I didn't score the winning goal.
Christ almighty. Yeah, like I said, Adam, sometimes you, what's it called? It's called failing big, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't win, but you made it to game 7 of the Stanley Cup final as a 40-year-old, leading the team in scoring, playing with your former junior. What a story, Adam. Win or lose.
And I got to play 19 years in my dream.
Yeah.
Right?
Adam, hell of a story. Hell of a career. We could talk all day about your insights into hockey. I appreciate the time you've given me so far. But if you have just 10 more minutes, Adam, How I like to conclude all these interviews is by playing a little game, like rapid fire questions. We can still learn, by the way, about hockey from Adam Oates if you agree to finish up with 10 questions. You game
Let's
for this,
go.
Adam?
Oh yeah.
Before I begin, I'm going to say just one more funny little story. Adam and I sat down here this morning. Never met Adam. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. I began, folks, to talk about the outline. I said, so Adam, here's what I got in mind. No. I want to go improv. I want to go off the top of my head. And I said, Adam, just like you did on the ice. So he doesn't know anything that's coming. But anyway, 10 questions, just whatever comes to mind first, Adam. You can shout it out there. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Not Gretzky, not Lemieux, not Oates. Who's the next player in your mind who has the highest hockey IQ?
Nikita Kucherov.
Nikita Kucherov. He's the guy, by the way, who he's the 10th guy. He had more points than your 142, Adam.
Oh, I know. I work with him.
You work with Cooch, eh?
Yeah.
Hell of a player.
And his IQ is off the charts. I can't explain it to people. I can't explain it to people. He grew up in the middle of Russia, didn't speak English, got drafted to the Quebec League. He learned English off a tablet watching the show The Office. Like, the guy's a genius. He is. He's fantastic.
Wow. Fascinating. You got me hooked already, and it's only question number 1. Let's go around. Keep going. Question number 2. This is another smarts-related question, Adam, but a different type of smarts. Can you explain why you went back to RPI to get your degree?
From my dad.
No elaboration needed.
No.
All right. Question number 3. We got a bunch coming up here, Adam, which this is stuff I'm sure you've heard before. But let's go. I'm going to ask you to name some of the best ever that you saw, and maybe you give what your answer is, and maybe a little bit about what made them so good. So question number 3, Adam, the best goalie you ever saw?
Well, the best goalie I played against or saw?
Let's go with saw.
It would be Marty Brodeur.
Marty Brodeur.
Played in the system, very intelligent guy. I had a chance to coach him. So then I saw the intelligence, and then I knew why he was so good.
Marty Brodeur is your answer. Could have been a number of guys. You saw a good few goalies, but Marty Brodeur is the best goalie you ever saw.
It's also hard saying one guy without insulting a couple others, right?
Oh yeah. Patrick Waugh was in your era. Dominic Hasek.
Yeah. Oh, Dominic Hasek, Grant Fuhr.
Can't go wrong though with Marty Brodeur. I think I know your answer here, so I'm really looking more so for the why. Okay, Adam. Best defenseman you ever saw?
Ray Bourque.
Right, which I thought you'd say. Can you explain? Because he's kind of a guy, Adam, that does bear some explaining. It's not like a Paul Coffey, where you could say, what made Coffey so great? He could skate way better than anybody else. Al McInnes had an unbelievable slap shot. Zdeno Chara, was 6'9". What did Ray Bourque do that made him the best defenseman of all time?
And you know what? Once again, you don't want to insult others, right? Like, so when we say this, I'm answering your question because you're making me pick one guy.
Yeah,
but
just for fun.
I got to play with him. So on a nightly basis, I saw what he did. And he did everything. And had an element of physicality to his game, which you're playing against the other team's best. You're running our show, and you're physical. And what a lot of people don't realize is that kind of physicality drains you. Right? Like there's a conditioning element in that physicality. And so for him to play 28 minutes a night and be physical for 20 years, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Hell of an answer. Hell of a guy you got to play with there. All right, where are we? Question number 5. Adam, I'm going to get you to play Fantasy GM. Okay?
Ooh.
I'm going to get you to complete the following line combination with whatever winger you want. Past, present, future, whoever. The line is Adam Oates, Brett Hull, and...
Well, once again, there's a lot. but I'm obviously thinking about a guy that could complement our styles, right?
Sure.
And it's funny, the guy that just came to mind is Keith Kachuk,
Wow.
because I work with his sons.
Yeah.
And that's why he comes to mind, because they take off a lot like dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would be a guy that it's fun. Oh, no, I think about it. I skated with him during a lockout. That's right. Where he would be a guy that would compliment us in a great way.
Oh, he would, man. What a line that would have been. Could have
Yeah.
happened theoretically. Your
Yeah.
primes would have lined up possibly.
Yeah.
He could, big guy, go to the net. What a line that would have been. Wow. Okay, let's keep moving along. Adam, question number 6. Adam, this is the question every athlete gets asked. You are no exception. Hockey Hall of Fame or no. Please tell us your personal best 1 rep max bench press.
255.
255 is his answer. All right. Moving along.
When I was about 27.
There you go. Question number 7. Kind of related, Adam. I want you to say, of all the guys who you knew or came across in your NHL career, was there a guy who, if someone said, Adam, think of the best physical specimen, okay? I mean like a guy who could bench press the most weight, sprint the fastest, just like a superior athletic, you know what I'm saying, specimen. Does one name come to mind of all the people you've encountered in your career?
Really easy. Scott Stevens.
Really easy, even, you say?
Oh, he's like out of Greek mythology. I mean, like, he's chiseled. And nickname was Bam Bam from the Flintstones, right? Like, I mean, like, just 6'3", 215, cut out of granite.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know you were going to go with Scotty Stevens. All right, we only got 3 left, Adam. Question number 8 is a multiple choice question, okay? Once again, Adam, all these multiple choice options are guys who you played with, okay?
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F. Lots of answers. Adam, who's the best fighter? A, Bob Probert. B, Joey Kocur. C, Tony Twist. D, Kelly Chase. E, Chris Simon. F, Craig Berube.
Well, I saw Joey Kocur.
Joey Kocur.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that either, but, well, I could. He's on the list for a reason, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But your answer is Joey Kocur.
Oh, yeah.
Adam, I can't resist this. I want to get you to comment on this, eh? Just listen to this. I don't know if you know this, but about your buddy Chaser, okay?
Yep.
I was doing a bit of research. Evidently, in the 1990-91 season, Kelly Chase, this is in the IHL, okay? Not even the AHL. He played that year in the IHL Peoria Rivermen. Adam, listen to this stat line for Chaser. 20 goals, 406 penalty minutes.
That's like the show Letterkenny.
Adam, in 61 games.
That's hilarious. That's him.
Tell you what will be hilarious. You know, like they do these documentaries. Can you imagine if someone had a camera following Chaser around the minor leagues in 1991, the kind of shenanigans this guy got up to? Getting 406 penalty minutes.
And by the way, he's not a big guy.
No,
he's not a big guy.
No,
he's not. I don't know if people know he's cousins with Wendell, right?
Oh, he's cousins with? I did not know that.
I think he's cousins with Wendell Clark. Yeah.
I knew they're both Saskatchewan guys.
Oh, yeah,
all right, anyway, we got to.
All the Saskatchewan guys are tough.
All right. Anyway, 2 left. Funniest teammate, number 9. Funniest teammate.
Funniest teammate. I guess I'll go with Steve Leach in Boston.
Steve Leach.
Yeah, he was always kind of a comedian guy.
Okay. Steve Leach, funniest teammate. And last one, Adam. Before I say goodbye here, I just want to thank you, Adam, again, one more time. Your wisdom, I knew it would be spectacular, and you certainly delivered. So for doing that, thank you very, very much for being here this morning. But question number 10, on that note, before we leave here, if you had, Adam, one last parting message to kids or anybody out there who is trying to become the best hockey player they can possibly be, what might be a parting message?
Well, it's easy to say, but you got to be dedicated, and not everything is easy. There's a lot of, as you just saw, there's a lot of hiccups along the way. You got to fight through the hiccups, and you have to really, really, really analyze your game. And I would say that is the one thing that people don't do quite enough. Analyze what you're good at, and work on what you're not so good at.
Which will give one final shout out to the Oates Sports Group. That's what you're doing with your life these days, Adam, after your Hall of Fame NHL career.
Yep.
So, on that note, Adam, once again, thanks for being here. I'm going to sign off in the same way that I always sign off by saying, let's go Canada. Support Canadian athletes.
Thank you.